So today, let's talk about a company called Resett. They have a mission that, honestly, we can all get behind, turning all that electronic waste we create into a real opportunity. But a great idea isn't always enough. We've done a deep dive on their strategy, and we found some pretty critical gaps between their fantastic mission and how they're actually running the business. Let's break it down.
Okay, so what does Resett actually do? Well, at its core, their model is beautifully simple. They step in and grab the mountains of e-waste that we all generate, taking old PCs and breathing new life into them. It's a really powerful, sustainable mission that's tackling a huge environmental headache. And that really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? A great mission needs an equally great strategy to back it up. As we started digging into Resett's operations, we found some really surprising opportunities just hiding in plain sight. Areas where just a few smart tweaks could unlock some incredible growth. All right, first things first, let's follow the money. We're going to look at how Resett is funding its operations right now, and more importantly, how it could be funding those big projects that are going to define its future.
So financially, Resett is playing it safe. Maybe a little too safe. They're what we call low-geared, which is just a fancy finance term that means they try to avoid debt. Now, that sounds super responsible, right? But the thing is, it's keeping them stuck in the slow lane. They're getting this cautious, slow growth when they really have the potential to hit the accelerator.
Get a load of this number, 41. That's Resett's interest cover ratio. In plain English, it means their profits could cover their interest payments 41 times over. I mean, that's not just safe, it's a huge flashing neon sign that the company has a massive amount of untapped borrowing power just sitting there.
So what's the fix? Well, here's our key recommendation. Resett should strategically borrow more. Now, why would they do that? Because, and this is the key part, interest on debt is tax deductible, which actually makes it a cheaper way to raise money. This lowers their overall cost of funding, their WACC, and that makes it way easier to say yes to profitable new projects.
Okay, so if they're going to borrow money, they have to be really smart about where they spend it, right? How do you pick the winners? Well, you need a reliable tool. And that tool is called net present value, or NPV. It's pretty much the gold standard for making investment decisions because it just cuts through all the noise and tells you the true long-term value a project will add to the business.
And the best part? It's not some crazy complicated thing. It's basically a simple three-step process. First, you estimate the future cash a project is going to generate. Second, you discount that cash using the WACC we just talked about. And third, if the final number is positive, even by $1, it's a go. It's a simple, powerful formula for making smart growth decisions.
So, smart funding is the fuel, right? But even the best rocket fuel is useless if the engine is sputtering. So now we're going to shift gears from the finances and pop the hood on Resett's internal operations to see just how well-tuned that engine really is.
And whoa, this is where we find a major problem. Resett's inventory department is treated as a cost center. That means its only job, its only goal is to spend as little money as possible. This creates this totally destructive conflict. The manager is forced to buy cheaper parts to hit their budget, but that leads directly to more products failing, which means higher warranty costs and ultimately a damaged brand. It's a classic case of one hand working against the other.
And then there's this number, 38 days. That's how long on average their inventory just sits in the warehouse. For over a month, cash is literally frozen, tied up in parts and PCs that are losing value every single day they sit on a shelf. It's a huge drag on the whole operation.
But here's the good news. These are all fixable problems. Resett has a whole toolkit of solutions they can use. They can use something called activity-based management to really attack that 38-day cycle. They can use target costing to be much smarter about how they buy parts. But honestly, the biggest fix of all is to change the inventory department into a profit center, making it responsible for both cost and quality. That way, everyone's pulling in the same direction.
And this also means they need to start measuring things beyond just the bottom line. Tracking what we call non-financial performance indicators gives them a much truer picture of the company's health. Is the warranty claim rate going down? Great, that means quality is going up. Is the cycle time getting shorter? Perfect, efficiency is improving. It's all about getting the complete story.
Okay, so we've covered the fuel for growth and the internal engine. Now let's zoom out and take a look at the company's foundation, its overall financial health, how it handles risk, and the story it tells the world about its true value.
Now, here's something that might surprise you. Despite all these internal problems we've talked about, Resett's short-term financial health is excellent. Their key liquidity ratios are really strong.
And this is fantastic news because it means they're not in some kind of crisis mode. They have a really stable foundation to stand on while they make these important strategic changes.
Part of that strong foundation is just good, honest accounting. Think about their 3-month warranty. It's a promise, right? Well, there's an accounting rule, IAS 37, that says you have to treat that promise like a debt. It forces them to set aside money for the expected cost of future repairs, which is great because it makes them be transparent about the real cost of their quality issues.
And this brings us to a much bigger picture of what value even is. A company's worth isn't just the money in its bank account. Modern reporting looks at what we call the 6 capitals. And for a company like Resett, this is absolutely crucial. Their natural capital, all that e-waste they keep out of landfills, and their human capital, the incredible expertise of their technicians, are just as core to their identity and long-term value as their finances are.
Whew. Okay, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's pull it all together into one clear, simple blueprint for what Resett can and should become.
It really all comes down to this 4-part blueprint. First, fuel growth with smarter financing. Use that untapped debt capacity. Second, align the internal operations by making the inventory department a profit center. Third, boost efficiency by slashing that 38-day inventory cycle. And finally, tell their complete story of value by reporting on all 6 capitals.
So the blueprint is there. This offers a clear path for Resett to finally match its strategy to its really powerful mission. They have all the pieces in place. The only question now really comes down to execution. Can they actually build it?